So Valheim has been popping off for a minute now, and I think the world can probably come to a unanimous decision that the game is incredibly fun and successful. Even myself, I find it pretty fun, more so than I thought for some reason, and lately I've been critical of game design and lazy tactics with the lack of innovation, and just trying not to be too harsh here, but Valheim really doesn't do anything new for the survival genre. In fact, it even has some of the same issues that I really hate about the genre. A small example would be worlds being too big with not much detail to discover, and Valheim gets a pass with this one just because it's an early access, and I hate doing that because I really just early access is a shield that I really don't want to encourage, but I can see the effort being put forward here unlike some other games, so I will let it slide this one time, but this shit better get ironed out soon, son, because I'm not trying to walk around tiny-ass caves for stupid battery-powered Rubik's Cubes forever. Like, there better be something later coming down the line. And there is, because here's the roadmap, and it's looking pretty good so far, and this is just for 2021, so who knows what's going on later into next year, so I have a lot of faith in these guys. Now, just because I said all of that, this doesn't mean the game is bad or anything like that. It just means that right now, for me, there's not enough to sustain my interest for exploration/combat for more than probably about 30 minutes to an hour, which is, I guess, acceptable. Speaking of combat, let's touch on that for a moment, given that there really isn't a whole lot. You have a few weapon choices in Valheim, ranging from the standard shield and spear all the way to giant stone hammers that shake the earth whenever you slam the ground. This adds a little bit of variety, and I actually really like that you can use spears with shields, which it's like a really good fresh air feeling, because a lot of games that give you the option to use a spear or a shield, you normally can't combine the two, which is really strange because, that thing, the shield wall where you would put up a shield and then stab people through the wall, like, yeah, that was a tactic. That was a very effective tactic back in the primitive days, so I don't know why we're not utilizing that shit. Also, it's just cool to sit there with your friends that you have in your lobby, like maybe you have 3 or 4 friends and you're just fighting a boss, or there's like an invasion coming in and you're just like yelling at everyone's shield wall, and then you just start stabbing with your shields and your spears, and it's like, oh dude, this is really fun. I like it. I like it a lot. I need to say this though, please for the love of God, stop saying the combat is like Dark Souls. If I hear somebody else make that comparison just because there's a dodge roll and a parry, I'm going to lose it. Dark Souls was not the first game to ever do that. Just because you have a sword and a shield and you swing them, that does not mean it is like this game or insert this other game. It's its own thing. It's just hack and slash combat. That's all it is. It's nothing that insane. Dark Souls, you have certain builds, you've got decks, you got miracles, you got sorcery, you have all kinds of insane stuff that you can do in Dark Souls. In Valheim, you use the bow, because if you're smart, you'll use the bow, and everything else is just whatever. Anyway, Valheim's biggest attraction is probably the building. I will admit, at first I was super annoyed by it and not snapping properly, but it's just kind of the style where you have to aim where exactly you want to put your block, and I know that can be annoying at first, but after 38 plus hours, I've now just kind of accepted it, and it's sort of not even noticeable anymore. Actually, I tend to just not even really realize that I'm doing it because I've just got so accustomed to it. But it would be nice to have something on the lines of Ark or even No Man's Sky. God forbid, No Man's Sky. I don't want to say anything about that, but at least for Ark, if you aim in the general direction, it doesn't really need to snap into place. It'll generally pick up where you want to put it, and it's not that tedious. But like I said, after you get some practice and get used to it, you don't even notice it anymore, and you just kind of do it out of second nature. Now, real quick, let me say, all right, I've seen the crazy shit y'all have been building, and I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it out there. Stop making my square ass houses look bad, you sweaty nerds. I'm kidding, y'all are impressive and I'm super jealous. Keeping it a $150 right here, I think the building aspect is what's keeping people invested more than anything else. Even for me, a person that is a total combat head where I would normally choose combat over exploration or building or gathering, I even like building more than just running around and killing stuff. I mean, seriously, this is the same guy who said No Man's Sky needs a combat update because I was bored with building and everything else and the updates didn't mean shit to me. That I said that, and here I am building fucking houses in Valheim with less options and details and customization options. I couldn't explain to you why. It's just, I really just don't know what to tell you. Last bit I will touch on would be the graphic situation, which are beautifully terrible. Listen, I'm not trying to insult it, but like, lads, they got pixels in the game that you can taste, but then they have this like Breath of the Wild aesthetic where you're looking not too close at something and it's pretty good looking, and then once you walk up to it, you realize that, oh, you're snorting pixels right there. I mean, look at this tree. There's pixels all over the place, and then you look out into the ocean, you're like, that's beautiful right there. It is really odd to see a game be absolutely beautiful from a distance and paper bag ugly up close. And this is not an insult by any means, I'm just saying that that's what it is. And because of this means that hardware is not an issue when it comes to playing Valheim. As probably many of you guys are, I am running a GTX 1050 on a laptop with an i5-7300HQ, which is a low-end CPU that is thrown into laptops that is less than a normal i5. So I'm already working way under the barrel here by a lot. So if I can run it, there's a good chance y'all can run it too. Way better than me, most likely, if you have any kind of upgraded CPU and GPU. With that being said, I can run this game perfectly fine with no issues at all. Maybe a couple dips in FPS here and there when particles get heavy in the mountains, or whenever I'm using the hoe and I'm kind of like trying to level up the land. Particle effects just kind of get laggy here and there, so that's to be expected, but it doesn't really take away from the game at all. It's just a minor inconvenience for a small period of time, so I wouldn't really stress about it. Oh, and I just remembered something. I would like to speak about the price really quick before we end this video. Currently, it's $20, and that is an absolutely valid price for what is given right now. As they add content, I feel the studio might raise the price, and I don't have an issue with that as long as the content represents the price. Valheim pretty much does what Ark does on a smaller scale, minus the whole dinosaur taming thing and graphical fidelity, but that's fine. Ark has some years on it now, and the DLC is $20 a pop. The base game is $50. I just don't see the value in that whatsoever. So when I look at Valheim, I see developers that are trying to make something good. They're not trying to milk profits or anything like that. I don't see them ever taking advantage of its user base by any degree. And Ark has just been in a steady, constant, I'm just giving you the same thing with minor differences, and I'm gonna charge you a pretty ridiculous amount of money. I don't see the value in that whatsoever. It's been a few years now. Drop that shit down to $30. All you do in that game is tame dinosaurs and grow shit and build shit. Valheim does all of that minus the tame dinosaurs part, and they're already working on that later down the line. So there is no excuse for that game to still be $50 and each DLC being only minorly different each time around. There is some that are pretty drastically changed, and the creatures that are in there are really ridiculous. However, for what you're doing 90% of the time, that is not $50 worth of content. Let's be honest, it just isn't, especially by today's standards. A few years later down the line, there's already a second Ark in the work. You don't need to be charging close to $60 after all these years. I don't think so. That, and I still haven't gotten an apology for this shit. So yeah, I'ma just keep it real. No, Valheim's doing it right. $20 is exactly what it needs to be, and if they raise it at all, please just make sure the content represents the price point. If you raise it to $30 or $40, there better be $30 or $40 worth of content there for me to do. In conclusion here, lads, Valheim is absolutely fun. It is really fun. I was struggling to understand the hype. I really didn't get it. Yeah, I fucking get it now. As of currently, I gotta give it a 9 out of 10. I really just gotta give it a 9 out of 10. It's super good. It has everything that the survival genre should have. It's not overly invasive with the survival aspects. The building isn't too bad. The combat's simplistic enough yet satisfying. The sound design whenever you're building something or hitting something, I have no complaints, and I'm typically very critical about that, but the sword sound effects, the hammer sound effects, everything has a weight to it, and it sounds very accurate to what I would assume would be, cutting a goblin's head off. I'm very excited to see what Valheim's going to be popping off with next over the next few months, so we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I highly recommend if you've been just hiding around and not trying to buy it, yeah, just go buy it, dude. This shit is $20, and if they do mark up the price, you might as well get it now. Think of it as an investment for your time in the future, because it will get better. I'm almost guarantee it. Let's be realistic. It's pretty hard to fuck up whenever you're this successful up front. But that's gonna be it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.